As the 10 families climbed the tower, slaying all that stood in their way, their knowledge and prowess within battle grew, and amid all their fighting against the ancient and legendary unbeknownst beasts, they developed a system, a perfect arrangement of how a combat party should be assembled, which is now imperative to implement in any fight while climbing the tower. But before all this, an individual needs to understand their role within the team, and in this video we will be taking a closer and deeper look into the positions in Tower of God. Much as I'm sure you're familiar with the party system in games and other forms of media, you need a tank, damage dealers and healers. This will usually be the default setup in almost any scenario, but in Tower of God there's a rather unique take on this system with the designs of these positions. The battles are mostly fought as teams, and position is the role an individual plays within the team. The positions used to have more importance during the times of when the 10 families were climbing the tower and going against the ancient Shinhe, which translates to living beasts, and other beasts, rather than fighting human versus human battles, which is the norm within the tower now, as you've seen throughout the episodes. But this does not mean that positions do not have their merit in these battles. Testament to what we've seen so far in the anime, human vs human battles carry more importance than fighting beasts and such, therefore the current positions are also evolving accordingly within the tower. All positions have to make a contract with a guardian, so they're able to use their Shinsu for purposes like Shinsu strengthening and of course furthering their knowledge and Shinsu in their respective position. Now that we have a basic understanding of what a position means, let's get into the 5 basic and core positions that have been established within Tower of God, which are Fisherman, Spearbearer, Scout, Lightbearer and Wave Controller. So those will be the 5 positions that we'll be looking into in this video, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. The Fisherman position is suited for close to medium range combat, and they are usually the main offensive force within a battle. They will always be centered within the heart of the battle and mainly use their physical prowess over their Shinsu within battle. Fishermen tend to use reel and needles, which are both displayed to us in the first episode by Yuri when she displays her inventory to Bam. Her weapons were stored in her reel and all of her weapons were needles. In fact, we've been exposed to a few needles already, 2 of the more notable ones being the Black March and the Green April. So, Fishermen generally possess the most destructive power in man-to-man fights. They usually carry light arms with no heavy weapons. Fishermen are divided into 2 different classes, the first being Real Fishermen, who uses their real inventories to attack their enemies at medium range, or man-to-man Fishermen, who go directly on the offensive at close range. The Fishermen constitute of the main offensive force of the team, which I mentioned earlier, and usually are at the center of battle, so they will be the ones doing the most damage on the battlefield. Another thing to also mention regarding needles is the fact that they should not be mistaken as swords, as in the higher levels of the tower a sword would be useless against the needle due to how heavy and resistant the sword would be against a flow of Shinsu, which is why many swordsmen who actually climb the tower have to relinquish their sword or switch over to become a real fisherman, but of course, in this case there are always exceptions. So, let's finish off the fisherman position by identifying the known fishermen currently in the anime, and I could name 3 right now, those 3 being Yuri, Anak, and then Dorsey. So, I hope you guys have a better understanding of fishermen. Now let's get moving right into the Spearbearer position. The Spearbearer is a position that snipes the opponent and backs up the fisherman with the use of their spears. Spearbearers usually cover the long-range offense of the team. Spearbearers do not tend to be very powerful in melee, but are very valuable due to their pinpoint attacking from a distance, as we saw with Rock and Ghost practicing their throws during training. Some carry needles when in the front, bearing the responsibility of melee in mind, but most do not. They carry inventories instead, specially created for holding spears named pipes, which are quite heavy. They are basically divided into two different types, a short distance type who use their spears to hit weak enemy points in the midst of battle, and long distance type who snipe from afar away, usually packing more of a punch and potentially changing the tides within a battle with one singular shot. The role of a spearbearer is to provide backup to the fisherman by keeping up a constant barrage of attacks and keeping the enemies on their feet and attacking their weak spots at all times. With support of a lighthouse, an ability of the lightbearer position, in which we will venture into later in the video, an accomplished spearbearer is able to throw a spear tens of kilometers away. The lighthouse has a feature which can adjust and guide the trajectory of the spear, so you can just imagine just how much damage just a single lighthouse and spearbearer can do from long range. So let's finish off the spearbearer position by identifying the current known spearbearers in the anime. So there's another three I can name, being Ghost, Paracool and Rack. So with those being named, let's get into the third position, being Scout. The third position we're going to be looking into is the Scout position, which is literally for scouting. They move ahead of the group, observe the environment and situation. They also provide aid to the fishermen as a secondary offense. Scouts are usually lightly armed for the intention to be agile and swift in movement and thinking. They usually play the role of helping the fishermen to regain a foothold or keeping watch of the enemy's movements in and out of battle. However, in terms of frequency and risk of combat, a scout is a step above the fisherman, as they are often the first point of contact against the enemy. Scout is a position which regards mental strength as its foundation, so someone who possesses weak mental strength cannot be a scout. Alongside mental strength, deduction skill and the ability to analyze the situation on the point are both pivotal attributes which can make or break their encounter with any enemy from the moment they meet. Scouts are able to read the change of Shinsu and collect visible data about the environment and enemies using their observers, which then transfers gathered information back to the lightbearers. They are basically divided into two different types. The basic scout generally works on gathering information for the lightbearer and keep watch, whilst the battle valuing scouts focus on backing up the fishermen in close range combat. So let's finish off the scout position by identifying known scouts currently in the anime, and I guess you guys can guess, they're going to be Huts and Shibisu. So now that we've discussed the scout's position, let's get into the lightbearer position. So the next position we're going to be talking about is the lightbearer position. The lightbearer is a position which uses exploring devices called lighthouses to gain information on the battle or the surroundings. A lightbearer tends to gather information and formulate plans with the help of such information as they command their lighthouse. They are also called lighthouse keepers because they protect the lighthouse. However, a lightbearer must still be able to fulfill both roles, as there may be times when they are expected to assume another role. Lighthouses are glowing devices made of suspendium and are used for gathering information to aid the lightbearer's teammates in battle. The more suspendium the lighthouse possesses, the better the lighthouse shall be. Some lighthouses have an observer function, but as their mobility decreases, they become harder to handle. Lightbearers tend to pair up with guides, and they provide information and the guide leads the way. The battles in the tower are fought mostly in dark places, so it is very hard to battle without lightbearers. A lightbearer may take a frontal or rear position when it comes to battle. When assuming a frontal position, the lightbearer participates in combat themselves and gathers information on enemy weaknesses using their lights. Such lightbearers must have exceptional Shinsu control and be able to maintain control of their lighthouses. They must be able to extend the reach of their light cubes for a good distance, so their light can gather information about the environment and the battles which are transmitted to the lighthouse. As there may be more than 2 or 3 battles going on at once, their light must be able to extend far enough to be able to attack a large area or cover them, so the lightbearer can analyze the situation. When taking the rear position, a lightbearer observes battles from a distance and collects data to use in future strategies. They basically control a lighthouse which serves as a battle command center. Using information collected by smaller lighthouses, they form strategies to direct and control the tide of battle. They also issue instructions to their team members and, based on their feedback, decide on the next course of action to take. Because of this, a lightbearer must be very knowledgeable, sharp, resourceful, and good at analyzing information, and be able to come up with alternative strategies if their team is in a tight spot or if the previous plan has failed. Combat abilities for these types of light bearers cannot be lacking, as they must be able to defend their lighthouses if the enemy does decide to attack it. So, let's finish off the light bearer position by identifying the known light bearers currently in the anime, and I can think of two right off the bat, being Kun and Rachel. So, now that we've finished discussing the light bearer position, let's get on with the final basic position, the fifth one being the wave controller. The wave controller is a position where one helps their allies in battle by attacking the enemy or by aiding the team using Shinsu. Out of all the 5 ordinary positions, wave controller is the rarest to be chosen for. Even for a rare position, the wave controller position comes with extreme individual variations. There are wave controllers who recklessly attack the enemy, and there are those who change the tide of the battle by subtly altering the flow of Shinsu itself. Since the ability to use raw Shinsu at a level of efficiency that makes it more powerful than combining it with weaponry is quite rare, there are only a handful of wave controllers, as the traditional meaning, even amongst the rankers, that are able to achieve this, meaning using and manipulating raw Shinsu without use of any weaponry or item to handle and control the Shinsu and making it more effective than combining it with weaponry. Most wave controllers lean to the powers of Shinsu manipulating items, but there are those who manipulate Shinsu without any items whatsoever. There are basically 2 types of wave controllers, attacking type and support type, but this kind of categorizing is not really used much. Wave controllers are described as directors of battle. Most of them have direct battle abilities and serve other positions alongside their wave controller position. So, let's finish off the wave controller position by identifying the known wave controllers currently in the anime. And I'm pretty sure 2 of these can come straight to mind, and those will be Laure and Bam. So, those have been the 5 basic positions within Tower of God that are used on a day-to-day basis when it comes to combat. But there will be one more thing I'll be discussing in this video, and that will be multiple positions. So what do I mean by multiple positions? A key thing to note here, which the anime did not seem to pick up on, is the fact that one person is not limited to just one position. The 2 examples that I can give here are both for Hats and Shibisu, as you guys are well aware of, who are both scouts. Scouts like Hats would also be good at the Fisherman position and act as a more aggressive scout, while Shibisu would be good at commanding and strategizing, hence his suitability for the light bearer position and act as a more defensive scout. And of course, now that people are able to wield multiple positions, begs the question, can individuals master all 5 positions? And my answer to that question is that even within the high ranker tier, there are very few that are capable to masterfully perform their roles in all positions. But it is possible, and there are individuals within the world of Tower of God that have achieved this pinnacle. So, those were the 5 basic positions that will be mostly talked about in the anime and webtoon, but there are unique positions as well, such as the guides and animas, which were not discussed in this video, but will be explored in another video, of course, if you guys would like to learn just a bit more about positions. But let's start wrapping up what we've learned in this video today. So in this video, we looked into the origins of what a position is and why they were established, what these positions are and how they work, identifying who these positions belong to in the anime thus far, and lastly, understanding that an individual is not tied to just one position. I hope this video provided you with a deeper understanding of what positions are and how they function in the world of Tower of God. If you do have any further questions regarding the topic, please leave them down in the comment section below, and of course if you'd like to see more Tower of God explained videos, leave a like and subscribe. But until next time guys, peace.